I love to go into a shoot day kind of having a really clear vision of what I'm going to capture that day, and that ultimately means storyboards. Basically take high resolution thoughts in my mind and turn them into appallingly atrocious 2D sketches on a piece of paper that don't communicate very much, but all they're really good for is triggering in my own head, oh, that's what I was thinking, and now I have to explain it to someone else.
I mean, as a filmmaker, you don't live on what happens on the screen. It's not about a two-dimensional image. You occupy a space, you walk around a space and you inhabit that. And it's almost the last thing you do is actually lifting up the camera and looking through it.
All of this VR stuff is really new to me. I mean, I've always thought of VR as really exciting, but right around the bend. And it was really Dave and his team at Last Pixel that came to me and said, I think that using VR, we can add a lot of value to this process that you're going through right now.
One of the things we said early on was that, I think there's a space for what you're trying to do in this using, the newer technology like VR and real-time rendering. We can see that there's some really powerful things that can help a filmmaker such as yourself. I think we just said to Grant one day, as soon as you've got the basic, bare bones basic set design, just throw us the back of the napkin sketch and we'll put it in VR for you. And I think we very rapidly, took whatever that first sketch was, it looked like a very bad Doom level. You could walk around it, but Grant put the headset on and could walk around, and automatically you could see him going to work.
It was very much about taking a rudimentary 3D model, getting it in the computer, putting it on the headset, and being able to sort of look down the road and get a sense for what it's going to feel like to stand in front of that object. But then I think one day Dave tapped me on the shoulder and was like, we can put a camera in this scene for you as well. And suddenly it wasn't about what it would look and feel like to you as a person on set. It was about what it would look like to the camera, which was a whole other thing that was really useful.
So it started out as a pre-visualization set viewer, set recce kind of tool, and rapidly evolved into being a full-blown storyboarding tool. You could bring up virtual cameras, you could change lenses, you could put virtual actors in, you could place lights, you could read the script, you could bring up all the previous storyboard frames and load them back up like another game. So every time you took a shot with the camera, it would save a still, but it would also save the state of the world.
I'd have my virtual camera floating, waiting for me, and I had virtual stand-ins of the characters. There was a 3D model of Mother, there was a 3D model of Daughter and Hillary's character, and I could pose them as required for the drama. I had lights that I could move around to create the sort of atmosphere that I wanted scenes to have. And it was like this amazing communication tool for me because I could generate these storyboards that were really accurate, that saved us time when we got onto set. I knew that they were lens accurate. I knew they were accurate to the space. We were never conceiving of anything that couldn't actually be achieved. So what started off as them helping out visualize the very contained, knowable space of our shooting set, and it made a lot of sense to build that in VR because we were going to spend 90-something% of the film in that environment, and I could storyboard 90-something% of the film. But that 10% that's not in the bunker was going to be shot on location in New Zealand, and I'd gotten so used to storyboarding this way, I wasn't exactly about to go back to pencil sketches on the back of a napkin. So I did whisper in their ear one day, I said, is there some way to maybe make the beach in VR? And Dave, as he normally does, was like, let me have a think about it, and then I think the next day or a day or two later, I showed up and put on the headset and they were like, click this button here. And suddenly I was in New Zealand, and they'd taken actual satellite data of the terrain of the shooting location and turned it into a set that I could shoot storyboards in.
Yeah, we brought the tool set to the table because we could see it was going to have real ramifications and help people get to their visions quicker and easier and know with confidence that what they were getting was what they'd seen in pre-production.
So I find that super exciting, that this sort of new frontier of storytelling and this sort of collaboration of making films, it allows that sort of magic to kind of come into the real world in a way that it couldn't before.